Good day, Tamers. With a lot of people seeing what's going on now for the rest of the year for Digimon and having to look around to see these things, travelling can be quite expensive. Now, luckily for me, if anything's in the UK, I can generally get to it fairly cheap and fairly easily. Obviously, prices are still rising, so things do change. But earlier this year, I went to Germany. Very bad vlog of it on the channel. And I thought that was a fairly cheap weekend away. I played Digimon, I had tickets, I had plane, I had the hotel. I think just for like the basis of just what I needed to be there, it was like 350. So hotel I think was like 260. Plane was I think £40 return. So that's that. Tickets for the event was 30, I think. So that's 330. And then I think there was like some additional fees to play on the second day, which is like 20 quid. So over the weekend, it essentially cost me 330 to be there for just the event. And then you can see here what the things cost. Digimon being probably one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest card of like competitive card game, does help things along. The deck I took along with Masty, you can generally build that deck at the time. I want to say like, what was it? What was the build for then? That build I think was like £120 for that deck. There are other versions of that deck that were more expensive, but that weren't altered, that were just normal, that were like 200 plus because you want to run certain cards more because of that at the time were like 40 plus pounds. Now a lot of the deck is fairly cheap. I think the most expensive card in that deck that isn't an alt art is like 20 quid, which makes things a bit easier. That being said though, something else further down in this thread, it does make a good point of saying like, hey look, Robbie here, flights 11,000, and this I presume will be for the year rather than one flight because that's a luxury ass flight if it's 11,000. 11,000 is generally like a flight around the world on Air Emirates in first class, and everything is free because you're paying 11 grand. You got to drink that much, baby. Cards 2,000. Now specifically for Sarah. Sarah is a TCG Pokemon player. I don't think you'd be paying £2,000 for cards to play. Pokemon is massively expensive. It's probably just a little bit more expensive than Digimon is, but you are probably spending like £2,000 a year on product. And roughly for the channel, if you've seen my stuff, we spend probably like 2,000 to 4,000, and we don't buy cases. We buy like a couple of boxes here. We buy staples. We buy things that we need. But yeah, we're looking like just for cards per year, like maybe 4 grand, and that's nothing special. That's not like special like luxury cards. That's no like Crimson Galapmon from Ultimate Cup. One day, or we'll win one, guys. We'll either win one, or we'll win worth money. You know what I mean? And then food 30,000. Now I'm presuming that's like what they eat a year, which is goddamn. I feed a family of 5 for a year on a third of that easily, maybe a little bit less. I think we worked out that me and the wife spend a year like about 10,000 together at the shops to feed family. Clothing, food, detergents and stuff. Everyday things. Presents don't go into that obviously because people get more and more. I don't know what's going on over there. Sleeves, $12. Yeah, you take a couple of sleeves because you'll play like one round and instantly there's like a tear in the sleeve. It's like, god damn, these are meant to be dragon shields. They're really good. Also note, dragon shields, depending which ones you get, are generally illegal in tournament play because they're opaque. You have to get certain ones that are solid backs. And then fun. So altogether, yeah, $43,000 for the year. Probably, I think you're getting ripped off, buddy. That's way too much money. Return $1 unless you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and that's actually cheap. But yeah, I don't really understand this, like, where people are going like, oh, I paid this much money to do here, there, whatever. It's like last year, a lot of the... Was it this year or last year? I think it was last year. It could have been this year. A lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh players decided to like travel the world, like all the content creators, to play in like Australia, in London. I know that was this year. Germany. I think there was one in Indonesia. I think they went to Brazil. Like, if you've got the money and you can do it, that's cool. That's fine. But the fact that you aren't winning in your own language, you're having to go to countries where there's a better chance of you winning because, especially in places like Brazil where they have problems getting cards, that doesn't show how good you are at the game, how much money you have. That actually shows the opposite. It shows that you've got more money than skill. Now that's fine. You can generally go to a different place and do that. I do think though for like Digimon, obviously after that big massive hoo-ha in one of the first online tournaments where essentially the whole thing was brought up by Americans, so like none of the OCE players could actually play in the event, and that obviously was very much instantly squashed and going like, oh yeah, by the way, you can't do this anymore. You can buy tickets if you want to, but you can't play. won't ship it out to you. It's been changed. I know that there was an Argentinian who came to Germany. That's because his partner is from Ireland, and so because he obviously lives with her and they're married, it's like, hey, I do have a residence. It's in Ireland, but I am Argentinian. So that was cool. Nice guy. Can't wait to see him again. He's a fun guy. Yeah. But the thing is, like, if you can afford it, go do it. If obviously people don't say like, hey, because there's a kid at my locals who asks me like every week, like, oh, what's the last tournament you played in? How much was it? What does it cost you? What's this? What's that? How much are cards? How much is that? You have to do this, that, and the other. And it's like, all right, for instance, Magidrum currently, because I've altered that deck out to the point where it's no return now, that deck's like £300-400 because of like everything's altered in that deck. But you can play the base version of this deck for like 70, and the reason why it's expensive is because you need 2 Crimson modes, which are like £30 each. And then, but everything else in that deck is, pennies in comparison. Like, I think you can get the base Magidra for like 50p. You want 4 of those. You can get the base Crimson Mode, it's a rare, for like 12p each. You can get the Tamers that are just in rares for like 20p each. All your cards that aren't foil are like pennies. All of your cards that are foil are probably like 20p. It doesn't really add up to the point where it's super expensive. The only thing that's probably going to be expensive though in that deck though would probably, isn't like whatever, is Rivals Barrage, because it is specifically only in the Beelzebub decks. So you are either going to have to buy Beelzebub decks, or you are going to have to like buy them off Card Market, which is going to put the price up. But I think they're like a couple of quid. But, so things. It is always good to explain to people when you go like, "Hey, look, man, I went out to Germany this weekend. I played some Digimon, dropped round 3 because my booty got smashed." But you got to sort of look at it then it becomes a holiday. So when I went this year, I dropped round 3. I did a couple of side events. I hung out for the day, spoke to some judges, spoke to some people that I knew. Went for a meal afterwards. Went back to the hotel with those guys for a bit, chatted, watched them play some games, have a bit of a a leisurely evening. Went back to mine, relaxed, chilled out. Went back the second day, did some cardy games, did some side events, and then again just chilled out for the rest of the day. As soon as the event finished, we left, went for a meal, chilled out. We've had like 24 hours straight of like Digimon. Rested for the rest of the Sunday, and then on the Monday met up again and went out to our flights. But like, it's an experience. Like, I have to say, like, if you ever get a chance to, if you're financially fluid enough to do it, and it's not gonna crush your bank account for the next like 6 years, do it. It's an experience. If you can afford to go, go. It's a holiday. It's a business holiday, I suppose, if you're competing. But do it. It's fun. It's exciting. It's really cool. I really enjoyed myself, and I think most people really enjoy themselves. As long as you like flying, you like traveling, even if it's like in the same city or state or country as yourself, if you can afford to go, just go. Because even just getting to meet like-minded people is also just a great event, and there's nothing quite like it. Its atmosphere is amazing. It's like going to a concert if everyone there is playing the same game as you. So, yeah. Should people flex? No, because you're not flexing anything. Should people experience it? Definitely. I would definitely say you should experience it. So thank you for Sarah for bringing this up, as I do think that a lot of content creators do forget that they are very fortunate in the fact that they can just go and do this because it's part of their living space, and because they can do it as part of their living space, they can look at it as like a taxable refund, which a lot of them will forget to tell you this, that if you do your own taxes, which you should do, you can actually put down as a work expense. I had to take these plane tickets to go here because it was a working expense. I went and played here. It cost me this much for my hotel room. This is now a taxable expense. So that's the other thing where people forget as well. Especially if you actually are, like a big streamer, or you're a content creator, or if you are actually a professional card game player. These people don't earn a lot of money on base if you're a professional, but a lot of it is tax writable off. So you gotta work your way somewhere. But no, this is how it is. So see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully something a bit more Digimon based rather than card game based, and have a great time. See you later.